She didn't say anything about what happened on the Mrs. Doubtfire set for 30 years. She's finally starting to talk. The year was 1993. She was shooting a scene about a divorce. Then Robin Williams had to stop what he was doing. He moved her out of the way. The whole crew was shocked by what he did next. The director had to change the whole plan. Everyone was interested in what was going on. What you thought you knew about him is now wrong, because of what happened that day. She was born in Pasadena, California, on November 6, 1946. It looked like a great start for a Hollywood movie from the outside. Margaret Field, her mother, worked as an actor. Richard Field was her father. He was in the Army and a chemist. But Sally's parents split up when she was only 4 years old. That broke the fantasy. The family broke up in 1950, and things didn't get better after that. It wasn't clear, was painful, and was a mess. It was hard for Sally's mom to keep things in order. There wasn't much safety in Hollywood, especially for a single mom in the 1950s. Richard, Sally's older brother, lived with them in a house where love and chaos were always fighting. Back then, divorce wasn't common. She felt different afterward. At home, there was fear, loneliness, and a desire for something steady. The outside world may have seen movie lights. When Margaret married stuntman and actor Jock Mahoney on January 21, 1952, things took a new turn. 5-year-old Sally. Jock was big, good-looking, and full of life. It was like a movie hero walked off the screen. He was magic to many. There was something much more dangerous behind that charm, though. In her 2018 autobiography, Sally would later tell the terrible truth. She had been raped by Jock Mahoney for years. He called her to his room, tapped into her, and controlled her. He also hurt her in ways that didn't heal over time. She was a child trying to figure out how to feel both scared and loved at the same time. The pain didn't go away when she turned 14, but the abuse did. It took her 60 years to talk about it with anyone. Not her friends, not her family, not even her mother. What he did wasn't the most painful part. It was how he made her feel. Sally wrote about how she felt strange and twisted, how she sometimes felt strong, even though she wasn't. That's how he used her against her will. He made her feel like she could change what was going on, but she couldn't. That confusion stayed with her as an adult. It showed up in her love life, in her relationships, and in how she felt about herself. She felt like that quiet was a weight on her body for years. Then something changed in 2011. The cancer in Sally's mother was killing her. A few nights ago, Sally made dinner. She told her mother everything in that quiet moment. The truth came out. Her mother finally heard her after more than 50 years. She gave Sally what she had been missing her whole life, even though she was sick and weak. "Feel good," she told Sally. "You won't be alone in this anymore." That was the first time she didn't feel like she had to carry it all by herself. Sally had found a way to stay alive while keeping that secret. Performing. She found the drama program when she was in middle school. It kept her alive. She wasn't Sally Field on stage. She had a different story and a different pain than he did. She had a time on stage when she was 13, when she felt like she had left her body. It looked like the real Sally stayed behind while the character took over. It was all about that feeling. It let her go. It gave her a goal. That bond got stronger in high school. There was no need for her to brag. She was trying to stay alive. Though she couldn't say them out loud, she could say them on stage. The stage was her way out. The high school she went to became like a second home to her. After many years, the school would name its theater department for her. But at that time, it was just a place for her to breathe. She looked like any other young girl, though. Sally took part in cheerleading. She looked happy as she smiled, danced, and yelled, "School chants." The truth, though, was just below the surface. Girls didn't have many chances to play sports, so dancing was all she had. Not only was it a part, it was also cover. It helped her fit in. Michael Milan, Michael Oites, and Cindy Williams, all of whom would become famous, were her students. But no one knew what Sally was really going through. Behind every cheer was a girl who was just trying to get through her own life. The hurt, the quiet, the fear, and the need for someone to notice. It gave her a chance to act. She wore a mask when she cheered. She used both of them to keep going. In 1964, Sally Field was only 17 years old and had just finished high school. All of a sudden, her life changed. She learned she was having a child. In the whole United States, abortion was against the law. She had no one to turn to. Even her mother wouldn't talk about it. But a doctor friend of the family gave them a way out. An abortion that is against the law in Mexico across the border. The car they took to get to Tijuana was brand new. Sally was scared as she sat in the back seat. When they got to an old, rundown street, the doctor pulled over and gave her a cash bag. He didn't go with her. He just waved her down the street and told her to walk 3 blocks to a building, hand over the money, and then come back right away. She did what was asked of her. No idea what the building was for, but she went inside anyway. A small amount of ether was given to her. That's just enough to make her mind and arms feel numb, not enough to knock her out. But she was still awake and aware of everything. What came next made things even worse. She knew something wasn't right as soon as the procedure started. The technician, who she didn't know and who was meant to be helping her, touched her in a way that wasn't right. She was being raped. It hurt Sally, but she couldn't move. It was hard for her to move. Her legs didn't move. Her body was numb from the air, but she was still aware. She fought and tried to push him away, but it was hard for her to even move her hand. She was in a lot of pain and shame when she left that building. The staff pushed her out the door like they were trying to hide a crime, which they were. Her body hurt. She had a lot on her mind. The quiet was worse than the pain, though. People didn't talk about what took place, not the surgery, not the attack, and not the stress. People told her to forget about it, hide it, and act like it never happened. But she couldn't. The thought of it stuck with her for a long time. She said it was beyond horrible and would change her life. Because it did, that one moment changed her in more ways than one. She felt terrible about it for a long time afterward. Things changed for Sally Field when she was only 19 years old. During a tough summer workshop at Columbia Studios in 1965, she got the lead role in Gig. It was really cool. She became famous all over the country overnight. But the attention had a downside. Gig was happy and lighthearted, and it showed what life was like for teens on California beaches. But after only one season, it was canceled. It became a cult favorite after summer reruns, but the damage had already been done. People thought of Sally as Giga, and no one in Hollywood wanted her for anything else, which turned out to be a cage. People in charge of casting only saw the bubbly team and not the talent underneath. While Gig didn't do well at the box office at first, it had a big effect on her in the long run. She was charming, full of energy, and knew just when to laugh. A lot of people who worked with her thought she wasn't ready for something more serious, though. After that came The Flying Nun. ABC did not want to lose her, so they offered her another show about a 90-pound nun who could fly because of her hat. She almost said no, but her dad told her that if she didn't say yes, she might never work again. The Flying Nun had 82 episodes from 1967 to 1970. It went over well. The kids loved it, but Sally didn't like it. She was ashamed, stuck, and embarrassed. She was literally worn out after being hung from wires for hours. It made her feel even worse to be creative. She was feeling down. It got worse for her, and she knew that playing Gig would make it even worse. A lot of people liked Sister Bertrell. Sally did not like her at all. It made her more well-known, but the show also shut down more doors than it opened. Hollywood wouldn't see her as anything but the cute, innocent girl with a smile. The business kept giving her fluff no matter how hard she tried. Her first movie role was in The Way West in 1967. There were a lot of stars in that Western. There was Kirk Douglas, Robert Mitchum, and Richard Whitmark. Sally played Mercy McBee, a girl on a wagon train who found out she was gay. It was a risky part that was nothing like what she had done on TV. The movie didn't do well, though. Some people said it was a mess. People didn't care. Even worse, people who went to the movies didn't know what to think of her, and her teenage fans didn't go with her. She was now stuck in an odd place. Not well known enough in movies to break through, but too well known from TV to be taken seriously. For almost 10 years, she didn't make another movie. At the same time, her personal life was changing. In 1968, she got married to Steve Craig. They were married for 7 years and had 2 boys, Peter and Eli. She kept working and playing whatever parts came her way to stay known. Things didn't change. It seemed like every offer was the same as Gig or The Flying Nun. The scripts and parts were silly and safe, and she had too many of them. She was determined to get away, so Sally took a big step. She joined the acting school and learned from Lee Strasberg. That made everything different, so she could stop acting and find out what was really going on inside her. He pushed her. Slowly, she felt more confident again. She finally felt like an actor again, not a product. It took Hollywood a while to catch up. In 1973, she was cast in the sitcom, The Girl with Something Extra, which was about a married woman with ESP. It was another silly idea that didn't go anywhere. There were only 22 episodes of the show. It went away quickly, and so did her hope. She was only 21 years old when she married Steve Craig in 1968. They had 2 boys by 1972. Their names were Peter and Eli. She seemed to be living the dream, the daughter of a young mother and a growing TV star. But something was breaking behind that beautiful picture. She was stuck. She had played the sweet, innocent girl on screen for years. Off-screen, she was stuck in a life she hadn't really chosen. Things had changed by 1975. It was scary, but she felt free for the first time. You were free to find out who she was. She could finally become the actor she had always dreamed of being. Everyone was shocked when she took a risk that same year. She took a workshop on method acting and really got into parts that scared her. She was tired of being America's sweetheart. She wished to be honest, real, and admired. That fire inside her made its way to the screen in 1976. Stay Hungry was more than just a movie. It was a protest, a crazy bodybuilder story, with weird characters and lots of sweat from the gym. Sally played Mary Tate, a wild party girl who loved and lived quickly. She was in the movie with Jeff Bridges and Arnold Schwarzenegger, a young athlete who no one knew much about. It was loud, messy, and nothing like anything she had ever done before. But Stay Hungry wasn't the end. In the same year, she got a part that would change everything about how people saw her. It was a TV show called Siebel. Sally played a woman who has more than one identity. 16 different people living in the same mind. It was very dark, very powerful, and very hard. She looked at cases from real life. It was her job to help doctors. More than ever, she pushed herself. And more than 20 million people watched Sibyl in November 1976. The response went off very quickly. The critics were shocked. People were scared. The girl they thought they knew, Sally Field, was no longer there. There was a woman in her place who could play one of the most complicated TV parts ever. For the first time in years, people actually respected her, after years of trying to get it. In 1977, Sally Field wasn't just looking for a job when she got the part in Smokey and the Bandit. She was also looking for respect. She was known in Hollywood as the sweet girl from shows like Gidget and The Flying Nun. Even though her performance in Sibyl had shocked critics, some people still didn't think she was good enough to be a major actress. She did know one thing, though. There was no one bigger in the movie business than Burt Reynolds. If he thought she was beautiful and skilled, other people might start to believe him. The first time they met was planned like a date. Reynolds made it clear that he was interested. Field didn't think it was just love. There was a chance for her. Within days, they couldn't be separated. And everyone in Hollywood knew about it. Smokey and the Bandit was a huge hit at the box office. It made over $126 million in 1981, which is more than $600 million today. It paid off for her. It was time for Sally Field to show up. But her choice would also lead her into a relationship that would change her life in good and bad ways. The couple was together for 5 years, from 1977 to the early 1980s. From the outside, they looked like a beautiful and powerful pair. It hurt behind the scenes. In the end, Field said it was full of love, but also of chaos and power. Reynolds could be nice, but he was also possessive and needy. Field said she was afraid to talk to other guys. Reynolds would smack her in the face and ask who they were if she did. He told her what to wear. He made her put on body makeup if he thought her face was too pale. When she was offered the lead role in Norma Ray, he told her, "No lady of mine is going to play a wow." Field said she felt like she had to hide parts of herself to make the role work. It kept going. Reynolds and her kids didn't get along, so Field had to leave her kids with her mom a lot of the time. She said there was real love, even though she was in a lot of pain. But it cost a lot. Her confidence went down. She had less freedom. She thought that a part of herself was locked up and watching everything happen. The pills came next. Reynolds was in pain all the time and wouldn't go to rehab. Field was what he used instead. She took over as his nurse and gave him pills in silence whenever he looked at her, or gave her a small nod. Barbiturates, Valium, and Percodan. All of them were taken. She gave him 1, 2, and then another one. He said that the pain in his jaw was caused by TMJ. No matter what the reason was, the drug took over his life. In the early 1980s, he lost 40 pounds. And rumors spread in the media that he had AIDS. He didn't. He tried to hide the fact that he was hooked on drugs. He finally went to rehab in 2009, which was years after they broke up. It was too late to fix the harm. Field later said that Reynolds used his fame to control her and everyone else around him. He didn't yell. He didn't hit. He was in charge with his charm, fame, and silence. Field wasn't sure how to get away because she was hurt from the past. His name was Jock Mahoney. and he had abused her as a child. She hid that pain for many years, but it changed her. She found out later that she liked guys like him, attractive, strong, and emotionally cold. When she looked at Reynolds, she saw someone who fit the mold. She was not looking for love. She wanted to get better. As she put it, I was trying to make it work this time. But she failed. Not with him. She stayed for years trying to fix something that was never hers to fix. When it was over, the scars were deep, but the lessons stuck. Reynolds died in 2018 at age 82, and Field was getting ready to publish her story. Reynolds had called her the love of her life in public, and she thought he meant it. Even after all the pain, she still had a soft spot for him. He would always be a part of her story, no matter how complicated it got. Field took that story in a powerful new direction in 1979, when she played Crystal Lee Sutton, a Southern mill worker who helped organize her factory. Field prepared for the role by spending time with real workers in Alabama to learn about their struggles and how they lived. The director, Martin Ritt, pushed her hard, but she did a great job. People believed her, and the scene with Norma Ray standing on a table, with a sign that said Union was filmed in just one take. The movie had an impact across the country, and she won an Oscar for it. At the 52nd Academy Awards in 1980, Field was stunned. She was up against legends like Jane Fonda. She said, "I haven't had an orthodox career, and I wanted more than anything to have your respect." That moment marked the end of her sitcom career and the start of her serious acting career. But she wasn't done yet. The next year, she starred with Paul Newman in Absence of Malice. Again, critics noticed how sharp and multi-layered her performance was, as a reporter caught in an ethical storm. The movie was a hit, and Field's place in Hollywood became more secure. The next movie she was in was Places in the Heart, which came out in 1984, and was about a widowed mother in Texas, fighting to keep her farm during the Great Depression. The performance was quiet, honest, and unforgettable. In a very moving scene, a church choir sings Blessed Assurance, while tears streamed down her face. That one moment showed grief, hope, and strength. She won her second Oscar in 1985, and this time, her speech became famous for a very different reason. She yelled, "You like me now?" through tears. "Do you like me?" Since then, the line has been spelled wrong and made fun of. But it was real. That was a real moment of feeling, from someone who had tried her whole life to be taken seriously. It wasn't written down by Field. It wasn't her plan. It came out of nowhere and stuck. In 1993, while making Mrs. Doubtfire, Sally Field was in the middle of a very emotional scene in the movie, a divorce court scene. When she got the call, she had just stepped into her trailer. She was told by a doctor that her father had just had another huge stroke, after having one for a long time. He was gone. Sally knew right away that she didn't want to put him on life support when the doctor asked her. "No," she said. She asked the doctor to hunch over and say something to her dad instead. Say goodbye to Sally. She went back to the set but didn't say anything. She wasn't sad. She didn't make a fuss. She didn't stop. She told me later that I wasn't crying. "I tried really hard to act when I got to the set." It was funny, because she was acting out a scene about having an emotional breakdown, while she was keeping herself together in real life. It's not easy to keep your emotions in check like that. But in Hollywood, the show never ends, even when your life does. Robin Williams saw right away. When Sally got to the set, he could tell right away that she hadn't told anyone what had happened. He gently moved her out of the way. He asked, "Are you okay?" At first, she tried to brush it off, but she couldn't lie to him. "My father just died," she said softly. Robin didn't think twice. "Oh my God, we need to get you out of here right now." That was all. Not a debate or business talk, just worry. Chris Columbus is the director, and Robin went right to him. Not only did he ask, he insisted that the filming plan be changed. She was able to leave because of what he did. That day, the rest of the scenes were filmed without her. When Sally got home, she called her brother and began to grieve. It wasn't about fame or time constraints at that moment. Most people only knew him as the loud, funny guy on TV. But he said something about people. Sally told the story again many years later, not to get recognition, but because no one ever saw that side of Robin. He was sensitive and knew a lot about things. She said he knew how much pain other people were in, even if they didn't say it. Some people stood with her. The daughter in Mrs. Doubtfire was played by Lisa Jacob. She said Robin wrote a letter to her school when they kicked her out for acting. He told her about his own mental health to make her feel like she wasn't alone. It was all hidden, quiet, and real. That kind of kindness doesn't make the news. But the people who were around him will never forget it. It happened at the worst time for Sally and meant everything. Sally chose to tell her whole story many years later. It took her 7 years to write everything down. The book that came out of it is called In Pieces. Not a Hollywood story full of rumors, but a real, dirty, and honest look at her life. Almost 400 pages of lies she had kept hidden for many years. It was hard to write about how her dad, actor Jock Mahoney, abused her. No one, not even her family, knew. Because she was scared of what other people would think, she wrote in secret. She wasn't just writing to get it off her chest. She was trying to figure out how she got through childhood, and how those same skills were holding her back, now that she was an adult. There were times she didn't even want to put the book out there. But she did, and it changed how people saw her as a survivor, as well as an actor. That pain stuck with her. It changed her. Her first child was born when she was only 17. It was 1964. In the US, abortion was still against the law, so a family friend took her to Tijuana. It was a scary event. Not very much anesthesia was given to her. She was hurting. The technician then raped her during the process. She had to push him away with her body. After many years, in 2024, she finally told everyone the whole story. Why now? Because the US Supreme Court had just thrown out Roe v. Wade. It wasn't about politics for Sally. It was about them. So many women of my generation went through this, she told me. Thinking about them makes me stronger, and I want to fight for their grandchildren. She has stood up for Kala Harris, Tim Walz, and anyone else working for women's rights, because she has been there herself. She knows what it's like to have no say. Hollywood still praised her even after all the bad things that happened. In 2019, she stood on stage at the Kennedy Center, while her longtime friend Tom Hanks paid homage to her. He told stories about her. The SAG Life Achievement Award was given to her in 2023. She was 76 years old. Fran Dresser told her how much she was loved for over 60 years, because she was real and had a wide range of songs. Andrew Garfield gave it to her. One was for Norma Ray in 1979, and the other was for Places in the Heart in 1984. But those awards never really showed who she was. At age 78, Sally is still going strong. She is honest about the abuse, neglect, and abortion. Not to shock people, but to make them feel less alone. People should talk to her, get help, and fight back. As a public figure, she speaks out for mental health issues, reproductive rights, and people who still can't speak out.